This is a Blairing Out with Eric Blair show with lead vocalist Ralph Busso and bassist Devin Baker of the band Ravenscroft. You guys just came out with an EP. It's called Rebel. What inspired that title?
I just kind of felt like everything that's going on in the world right now, people are like kind of leaning towards being rebellious. I think it's not just one or two people that you know. I think it's most people that you deal with on an everyday level. You see that there's a change happening in people's spirit, so to speak, I guess. So I thought Rebel would be a really good title for this album because people are tired of being told what to do and how to think and, you know, just what's right, what's wrong. And there's just too much stuff going out there. It's starting to become more chaotic, in my opinion, than it is balancing out. You know, we're supposed to try and balance ourselves out, and we're not anywhere near there.
What was your youth like?
I grew up in a big city. I grew up in New York, the South Bronx, and I had a pretty rough upbringing. A lot of violence towards me. My father was killed when I was 10, so I didn't really know what to do with myself. I didn't have a father figure, and he wasn't really around even when he was alive because he was involved in the mafia and organized crime. So I hardly ever saw him. But he would show up every once in a while, and I'd spend some time with him. And, you know, I miss him, and I love him, and he had an influence on me. But when he went away and I didn't know what to do, I went through a lot of changes, and I started getting really aggressive and really angry. And then as I started getting older, I started realizing, you know what, there's too much to life to be angry all the time. Moved out to California and started changing my attitude about life. And it really did start changing me. But honestly, I didn't really mourn my father's death till I was about 25. And that's when it hit me. And I was like, man, I really miss having him.
Devin, your youth.
I grew up in Orange County. My family was pretty middle class for the most part. I got older brothers, played sports. The music came into play because of the older brothers. I'm 8, 10, 12. I've got 16-year-old brothers, and they're listening to Bad Company and Zeppelin, and then my other brother's into Kiss and AC/DC, and I'm just a little kid, and this is what I'm hearing around the house. And so that really just struck a chord with me. And so the football started to fall away a little bit, and then the music started to become more and more important to me. And I absolutely had a moment where I was thunderstruck from head to toe, and it was the first concert I ever went to at Anaheim Stadium. It was Van Halen, Black Sabbath in Boston, and I think I was 12 or 13. I went with my older brother, and that was it, man. I saw Van Halen and Black Sabbath live at a really young age, and I just remember being, you know, just electrified by what I was seeing, and that was it, man. It hasn't left me since. No joke. For decades, I've got the rock bug that will never. I know for a fact that will never leave.
You know, Sammy Hagar opened that show, right?
Sammy Hagar opened the show.
Yeah.
You're right. Sammy Hagar was great back then. When I saw Van Halen, and I think this was back around their first record, but they came in to Anaheim Stadium on parachutes, and they took their chutes off on stage. Michael Anthony started plucking his bass with his teeth for the opening of Running with the Devil, and Dave jumped off the drum riser and did the splits, and Eddie's and my head just exploded, man. I couldn't control the excitement in my body for the whole thing. I mean, shredding Eddie and slutty Dave, it was such a combination. And the whole place, you know, the place is huge. So tens of thousands of people were just going nuts. And I was one of them.
What are the two greatest sacrifices you've had to make to be in Ravenscroft?
I mean, I don't really feel like there's a lot of sacrifice. I mean, I guess time, but I mean, I really enjoy this. I mean, this band it's a job. So it's not a hobby. It's not fun and games, jamming with my buddies, drinking beer in the garage. That's not the case. This is a job, and we take it seriously. But I mean, I love it. So I would say I listen, time, money, away from home, whatever it is, I wouldn't even really consider it a sacrifice necessarily, because I'm in love with this band, what the songs we've written and what we're doing right now, and it's just it's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure for me as well, for sure, absolutely. But it's a sacrifice. I'm not going to lie to anybody. And if you think you're going to get into a band that's going to do anything and you're not going to make sacrifices, you just might as well give up right now.
Your two greatest sacrifices.
Time is a huge sacrifice with this because it takes a lot of work and a lot of time to get it rolling to the point where it's actually making a difference. It's actually getting out there in a way that you're actually making a difference to people, and we've done quite a bit of that, which is really cool. That's part of what paid off for this more than anything for us, is that we started to affect people, and it changed some people's lives. You know, we had a song called Cauldron of Deceit, and it saved a few people's lives. They were thinking about killing themselves, and they changed their minds. So that's been super rewarding. So that really takes all the sacrifice and makes it worthwhile, right, is what I think.
What is your ultimate motivation behind the creation of Ravenscroft?
To create really good music that people will relate to, and maybe get a takeaway from it, you know, take something home with them, take something inside and have that with them, that little piece of something that we created.
What do you hope to gain from rock stardom that you don't already possess?
It doesn't have anything to do with selling a certain amount or making money necessarily. I mean, for me, like I said, I've had this electrifying rock bug in my body forever. So, I mean, I really just want to play music. And Ralph kind of touched on it. If we touch somebody's soul or heart and have a connection, to me, that means a lot. And it's happened, and it's happening, and we're being contacted by people. And so our music means something. I'm lucky that the four guys in this band are all focused, determined, dedicated, and professionals. And we all have the same goal as to where we want to go.
Rock stardom. I don't even really think about it that way anymore. I guess maybe at one time, but it wasn't really all about that. It's more about passion. It's more about doing what I love. That's what it's more about. I don't really look at it as rock stardom. I mean, if we get to a certain level, I'll be happy if we're able to tour. You know what I mean? I'm not looking to be a rock god or anything like that. I think that those days are still existing, but I think they're starting to go away a little bit, you know. And people want to be able to relate more with the people that they idolize. And I think that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Do you think it's good that people idolize you? Do you feel worthy of idolization?
No, not at all. See, that's my point, is I don't believe in that part of it. I don't believe in idolizing people. I don't do it. I mean, I love certain musicians, and they've made an impact in my life, but I wouldn't say I idolize them. I look up to them. That's about it. And I've taken away from what they've had to share with me. And that's what I'm trying to do too, you know. And I just love playing music and performing for a living. That would be great to do it solely for a living. And that's it. I don't care about money. I don't care about any of this stuff. I just want to be happy for as long as I can be with the people that I love.
What does success look like to you?
I guess it would be, you know, having enough money to take care of your family and having enough money to maybe make a difference on some things.
Magazine cover would mean the most success to you.
Revolver, maybe Kerrang's cool. Blabbermouth is pretty big. Yeah. Loudwire, I think, is pretty big. I mean, any of the biggest ones that are out. I mean, back in the day, it was Hit Parader.
Circus.
And Circus Magazine. That's the stuff I got, and I'm like, oh, look at this. Queensryche's on here. But I don't think that stuff's much around anymore. I'm not even sure if there's a lot of actual physical magazines left. I think some of those went to just being online. I'm thinking Blabbermouth, Revolver, Loudwire. Those are the top rock online magazines.
Well, obviously, if Rolling Stone, if that was an option, that'd be great, of course, but that's huge, you know what I mean? So that's kind of one of those things where I'm not unrealistic, you know? I'm more realistic. I would say, yeah, Blabbermouth, that'd be cool. That'd be killer.
What's Ravenscroft's mission statement?
Nothing is going to stop the Ravenscroft train from going forward.
Ravenscroft Rebels, and why are they so important?
Ravenscroft Rebels are some of our stronger fans, people that support us all the time. Every time we put something out there, they either download it or they buy the album or they buy a shirt. When a new one comes out, they buy that. So we have our strong supporters, but there's people that are quiet and in the background. The Ravenscroft Rebels are more their voice can be heard much louder. They're out there trying every day to put our name out there, get our music heard by new people. So they're basically kind of like a street team, I guess, but it's more of an online thing because a lot of them live far away from each other.
We just really appreciate it a lot. We've got some hardcore super fans for sure.
What inspired the cover art for your new EP, Rebel, with the fallen angel on it?
Initially, we didn't know what we were going to do. We were thinking maybe some chick on a bike. We were thinking maybe some chick holding like a Molotov cocktail and lighting a cigarette with it or something. And we found some stuff online, some images. And ultimately, our manager at the time said, hey, I've got this idea that I had a friend draw up. And it was the actual model that it was used for our cover. She doesn't have any clothes on. She's covered in tattoos. And she's lighting a cigarette with a lighter. And I said, well, that's kind of cool. It was just kind of like a abstract background. I said, that's pretty cool, but I think we can make it better. So I talked to my buddy Thorsten, who lives in Germany, and he's a fan of the band and a friend. And he said he does Photoshop. He's really good at it. He said, let me get it. Let me see what I can do with it. So we started messing around, throwing ideas around. And I said, what about the idea of, putting wings on it? The guys wanted to see Raven's wings. And I was like, yeah, but maybe we should do something different. And I kept thinking in the back of my head, what's more rebellious than a fallen angel? You know what I mean? So I'm like, that really struck me. So I was kind of wanting to lean towards that. And he started showing me stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. Showed it to the guys and they loved it. So that's what we decided to go with.
In the song Rebel, you say that you are the Antichrist.
In that song, I'm basically talking about how people have a double standard and they're very judgmental and they're hypocritical towards each other. So this one's a rebel. You know what I mean? This one is sanctified. This one's, a victim. This one is dead inside. That kind of thing is changing things around a little bit, getting people to see that they're judging books by their covers and they're not getting to know each other. We're all fighting against each other for stuff that we don't know what we're talking about, half of it. You know what I mean? There's all this fake news and stuff. It's like crazy. And people are buying into it like crazy, and it's just like, dude, relax. We're all humans. We're all in this together. We need to figure this out together. And so that's what Rebel is basically saying. It's like somebody may look at me and look at my makeup and look at my eyes and go, that guy's a Satanist. You know what I mean? He's like an antichrist type dude, like Marilyn Manson or whatever. And it's like, I'm so far from that. You have no idea. But that's when my songs try to tell a story and try to get people to see more than one side.
Jaded.
I really wrote it about my wife because it's not just about being infatuated. It's being obsessed to the point where you're afraid if you don't hear from that person by a certain time of the day. And I love my wife so much that that's how I feel. I start getting nervous. You know what I mean? So that song was basically about her. How she, initially me and her, we had that attraction, but we fell hard for each other in a much bigger way than I ever have with anyone else.
Tell me about the personalities of the other Ravenscroft members and what they bring to the musical equation. Let's start off with drummer Pat McGrath.
Pat's a pro, and I really appreciate that about him. He's actually got a lot of influences. He does some orchestra studies, some African drumming. He's got djembes and congas. He teaches drums. He is a professional drummer. That is his day job. But I had played in a band or two with Pat prior to this band, and I really it was clear we needed to replace our original drummer. And I made a call to Pat, and it was one phone call, and he was in the band, and I was just thrilled to get a guy that, it's not all about, hey, let's have a drink and jam. Like, he's a pro. He wants to do this at a top level, and we need all of us to have the same focus and goals. And, Pat also listens to Tool and Slayer and heavy stuff too, so he's really got a huge range of musical influences. And not only that is he a great player and he's a pro, he helps us write the music. He's not just coming up with his drum parts. He's got suggestions for intros and sections. I think we wrote a couple of sections where, he had like a tribal drum thing going, and then we kind of, came up with the guitar and the bass parts around that. So he's a great musician as on top of being a really good drummer as well. Huge addition for us.
Brett Octane.
We talked about jamming in the past when I was in another band and he was in another band. It never came together, but we ended up jamming together because I've always liked Brett. He's a good person, great spirit, tall, good-looking guy. Who wouldn't want to have a guy like that in his band, you know what I mean? Great guitar player. I mean, I can't say enough good things about his guitar playing, honestly. He's really blown me away lately. Some of the stuff that he did on this new EP, I've been listening to it going, wow, Brett, you're doing some serious stuff back there that I didn't even realize because we're playing, and I'm focused on what I do. But when I hear it now, I'm going, wow, man, impressive, dude. You did a killer job, boy. Brett Octane, great addition to this band.
If you could collaborate with any legendary musician, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Rob Halford, or to play, arrange, write with Steve Harris.
Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails. If I had an opportunity to write a song with him, I'm not talking about just like sing a song with him. I'm talking about get on keyboards and synthesizers and write a song together. I'd like to collaborate with him on that and then maybe record something.
What are the pros and cons of social media for you?
I'll start out with the pros. I think it's beneficial for any band or anyone that has anything that they're trying to sell, a product. And I think that on the level that you can appeal to people on a more personal level, I think that can help you sell your product. But of course, I do believe that the product has to be good. The cons, I think, are definitely the crazies that are out there. People that you can't trust. People that are going to try and sell you on something.
I can tell you the pros. The first thing that's popping into my head is about, I'm going to say a year or two ago, because of a super fan on Twitter, loved our band and got our music to Disturbed's manager. Wow. So I would say that's a pro, right? So Disturbed's manager flew here from Chicago for the weekend to see us play at the Viper Room. He came in, we had a great weekend, we went to the Rainbow after. So, I mean, there's a good example of a pro. In the cons, people are just fake.
Yeah.
It's just, a lot of stuff's fake, man. It's not roses and sunshine. 90% of it's, I think, BS.
What comes first, the lyrics or the music?
Almost 50-50 sometimes. It just depends. I guess I would say more often than not, it's music. Like a guitar player or Devin on his bass will come up with some kind of a riff and we'll listen to it and we'll go, oh, that's pretty cool. Let me see if I can come up with something, and I'll start trying to work on something. Other times I'll come up with something in my head, or I write on my keyboard. I have a synthesizer, a Yamaha Motif, and I use that to write sometimes. And so I'll write these little like rhythm backgrounds with strings and stuff and send it to the guys and go, here's my idea for the vocals on top of it. Now make it your own. And that's what they do.
The cool thing about this band is we write in either the lyrics or the melodies can come first, or the music can come first. So that's kind of a nice luxury. It doesn't always work like that. I'd say we can write in forward or reverse. Ralph can have some vocal melodies that he's putting down with his keyboard, and if we hear it, we go, oh, that's great. We can write the music after. That doesn't happen all the time.
Devin came up with a bass lick that was really tasty, and that became Rebel. Denomination, which is one of our other songs that we love off of this EP. Out of nowhere, Brett came up with and said, what do you guys think about this riff? And kept going over and over, and I said, I got something cool. And then that was it.
What would you like your legacy to be?
Would be to be known for music and what our music did for people. But I'd like to be leave something greater than that behind as well. I just have no idea what it is.
The first thing that's popping in my head is good father, good husband, and dedicated. musician.
What's next for Ravenscroft?
Our new EP has only been out for, I'm going to say, 2 weeks. So we're kind of just getting the push going right now. I said it before, man, the train's not going to stop. We're going to keep going. We definitely got the 4 guys that need to be in this band. There's no drama. Everybody is a rad player and a sick writer. The chemistry is really good. Everybody communicates well. All ideas are taken in. So there's no stopping the Ravenscroft train at this point.
I love doing this, and I love working with this band. It's not like I haven't had fun with my past bands, but there's just something about the chemistry in this one that I cannot deny.
This is the Blurring Out with Eric Blair show with Devin and Ralph of Ravenscroft signing off.
The Blaring Out Show.